This is self-publishing news for January the 30th, 2023. Audible, oh man, they are changing the prices on you yet again, and they're dropping them with the belief that you're going to make more money. And also, there is a USA Today best-selling author that is sharing his insights about how he's able to crank out content of up to 80,000 words per day. Oh my gosh, yes, that's right. And if you're having issues with selling some books, well, the good news is a retitling could probably be in order. That's all the information from Kindlepreneur. And we've got more information about how Ingram is going to be doing advertising for authors now. Oh, yes. All that in today's self-publishing news. So let's go ahead and jump right on into the very first news segment here. And that, of course, is going to be with Pro Writing Aid. The fine folks over there, Pro Writing Aid, one of my preferred spelling and grammar checkers, is having Fantasy Writers Week 2023. Discover the secrets for writing, editing, and publishing a fantasy novel at this free online summit from February 27th to March 2nd. So this probably won't be the last time you'll hear this from me. Go over, get yourself signed up. Are you ready to write a spellbinding fantasy novel? Learn from best-selling authors and experts. Discover strategies for world building, marketing, and more. And connect with like-minded writers at networking events. You can see there's so many different people that are going to be on this summit here, and it is 100% free. You can go visit my affiliate link at dalelinks.com/fantasy if you'd like to get yourself set up. This is the third year that I've looked into Fantasy Writers Week, and I think this is going to be worthwhile if you happen to be a person that is a fantasy writer or are planning to break into fantasy. Let's get on into the big news that rolled out over the past week. Oh my Lord. Audible, man, did somebody drop them on their head? Because I'm starting to believe so, because it was not too long ago, Brandon Sanderson, a prolific fantasy author, that came out and said, I am not using Audible because they are abusing indie authors out here. Oh, well, if you didn't know already, ACX, if you're distributing your audiobooks, you have no control over pricing. Audiobook Creation Exchange does it according to the length of your book. Yeah, think about that. The length of your books. That means that if you put out some garbage audiobook that's 20 hours long, you're going to get paid more for that garbage audiobook versus your really well-crafted one that's like, say, 10 hours long, has the best audiobook narrator out there that probably costs you an arm and a leg. They don't care about your feelings. They're just going to go ahead and make the pricing however they want. Well, they just went ahead and said, you know, let's double down. If Brandon's going to leave, we're going to go ahead and make sure that we keep the rest of you here. ACX was founded to create and drive new revenue streams for creators, and this mission inspires everything we do as we strive to ensure our listeners continue to engage with and enjoy a variety of content across our service. We periodically try out different pricing on content with the goal of improving customer satisfaction and interaction with our offerings and driving sales of your titles. Love what you're saying so far. Starting today, Audible's reducing prices on titles, including ACX titles across the site. While we cannot make projections on a title-by-title basis, we anticipate that these price reductions will lead to increased sales for titles overall. In tandem, as the vast majority of Audible content is purchased with a credit, you should expect your average royalty per unit for credit sales to remain steady. Okay, so kind of like this whole fact that they were just like saying, oh yeah, this is going to increase sales, although not for everybody. That's essentially what they just said to you. So rather than saying, hey, are you cool with us dropping your prices? They're like, no, we're dropping the prices because this is our game. You play it by our rules. And this is one of the things that just leads me to kind of wondering, how much more will the indie authors stand to suffer while being with ACX? Are we going to continue to be their punching bag? Are we going to continue to be the ones that drive traffic and build awareness of their platform despite things like this? Now, some of you might feel like, oh, Dale, you're overreacting on something like this. No, I'm not, because you look at a platform like, say, Findaway Voices or Authors Republic or any other platform that distributes audiobooks, you set your pricing. All right? I think it's on me. If I want to create better customer satisfaction, if I want to increase my sales, then I need to adjust any number of factors, being the pricing, being the cover, and maybe even the book description. Just merely changing pricing and expecting customers to follow along and purchase those things, I think is just a recipe for disaster. Audible, what are you doing? Moving further forward here, and the very next piece of news here comes from the folks over at BookBub. Oh man, if you've never heard of BookBub before, they are probably one of the best premium book advertising websites. If you can get a featured deal on BookBub, it's beautiful. But they're going to be doing a getting started with BookBub ads. I know one of my favorite people like to tune into, David Gaughran, talks a lot about BookBub ads. But if you want to kind of jump into things and understand BookBub ads and how they function, in this webinar, you'll learn how the BookBub ads platform works, the best type of books to promote, everything you need to know to create an effective ad campaign, and how to understand and improve your results. So that is actually going to be on February the 15th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can go ahead and take a look at that. And by the way, all the links for this is going to be inside the show notes. All right, I had a great conversation with a good friend of mine. His name is Nick Thacker. He's actually a prolific thriller author, and he's also a nonfiction author. Just read his book, of all things, about BookBub featured deals. And he had actually reached out to me here about one thing that he has been working on, and it's called Radio Write. That's spelled radio and write as in write a book. RadioWrite.com. And here's the really cool thing, and I'm going to show this visually over on the YouTube channel, but those of you that are listening in will actually get to hear it. There's a little schedule here, and it's essentially like a radio for writers. So you have things like at, say, 12 to 1, it's hip-hop happenings. 1 to 8 is a late night chill. 8 to 9 is rock radio rise and shine. 9 to 10 is lo-fi lowdown. And then 10 to 11 is the podcast Author News Weekly, which is one of my favorite podcasts right now, folks. Definitely take a look at that. But it just kind of changes things out. And from the conversation I had with Nick, he plans to add even more content to here to give authors something to listen to while they're writing, and also, of course, educate them in instances like the news hour that they have on there. But you want to go ahead and take a look at it. It's RadioWrite.com. It's 100% free. Go ahead and take a look at it. I really like it. So this brings me up to the next point here of Nick. Nick is certifiably insane, and in a good way. He's a prolific author. I got to see him speak at 20 Books, and I got to see his talk over at InkersCon. He's just great. Love everything that the guy is doing, and I'm not just saying that because he's my buddy, but I do want to point out that actually he has a YouTube channel where he actually launched a video. This has been about a month ago, where he says, can you write a book in a single day? And in the thumbnail, he'd shared how he wrote 80,000 words in a single day. Now, in the video, he kind of goes on to explain that, will he do that all the time? No. He's like, it is very exhausting trying to do 80,000 words in a single day, but it is possible. So I said to him, I'm like, Nick, look, dude, love you, man, but you're flexing on me and all these word counts and such like that. I want to know how you do it. And he shows inside the video, but it's kind of like a broad overview. I was like, I want to know point by point by point. What's the equipment that I need? What type of things do I need to have set up ahead of time? How long will it take me to do this? What does the editing look like? And he was just like, dude, I gotcha. And oddly enough, he went and put together a course. You could go ahead and look at this right now. It is in early access mode right now. It is how to dictate like an author. Want to double, triple, or quadruple your writing output? Write 3 times as many books in a year? Dictation is not a secret, but there are some fantastic new tools, tricks, secrets, and tips to get the most out of dictation. You can right now get 20% off this course with the coupon code BOOKCareer. Again, that's one word, Book Career, and do it in all caps. You got to shout it at him. He's a little hard of hearing, I guess. But you go ahead. Go ahead and do that right there. I'm actually going to get myself some access, and I'm going to try this out for myself. And you can also get access to this at shop.bookcareerinayear.com, and you'll be able to see the dictation course that he has available there over. Again, shop.bookcareerinayear.com. That's Nick's new course. Let's go a little bit further forward. Every now and then, you're going to find sometimes sales will slump. And I have said from time to time, look at your book cover, look at your description, think about all your book marketing methods. But one of the things I never discuss is the title, because sometimes that title can make or break the success of your book. And the Kindlepreneur just recently updated a couple great articles, and one of them is how to title a book, 13 steps to choosing a title that sells. Now, let me just skip down to one of the very first portions here. Do book titles matter? And inside a little bit of a case study, they actually focused on Immanuel Haldeman Julius, and this is from the early 1900s. And in his publishing company, what he found was anytime a book didn't make at least 10,000 sales within a given year, what he would do is figure out, okay, what do I need to do with this title that would entice more people? So one of the original titles of one of his books was Gautier's Fleece of Gold. He sold 6,000 copies a year. Why the original aim? French writing was the rave at the time. He switched it to The Quest for a Blonde Mistress. The new title sales got 50,000 in a year. And why he believed the original title failed? The title doesn't tell you what it's about. Same thing with The Mystery of the Iron Mask. That sold 11,000 copies in a year. It was mysterious and to the point. Now, that went a little bit above his 10,000 a year, but he went ahead and changed it. And you might actually know this particular one from The Mystery of the Man in the Iron Mask. That sold 30,000 in a year. A man wearing an iron mask is an intrinsically more intriguing mystery than just some iron mask. So this is a great piece. I highly recommend you get the opportunity. Go over to kindlepreneur.com, how to title a book with good book titles. There's a full piece on this, really great. Kindlepreneur is always putting out great content, but they're also updating some of the back content. Let's move further forward here over to the big news that's coming from KDP. The KDP Select Global Pool had paid out $522 million in 2022. Just how big is the indie ebook market? Well, that's really what's up for debate right now. You might have noticed that I've talked a little bit less about stats lately, especially when it comes to understanding the global publication profits of print book versus ebook versus audiobook. Because ebook, it's going to be greatly skewed. Since there's most ebooks on the market do not have an ISBN, they're not being tracked. So therefore, some of this is going to be a little bit off. Now, according to this piece that was put together by Ally, that was researched by Mark Williams in his particular article, he talks about how this $522 million kind of equates to and calculates to about 386 million 300-page books being read, or the equivalent thereof throughout the scheme. And that excludes all the direct sales made by anyone without an ISBN. Reported revenues are around $1 billion, which counts none of these figures. That means the actual ebook market is significantly larger than it is ever reported, but in line with the 39% figure suggested by K-Lytics as the indie share of the Kindle royalties. And it makes any speculation about its relative size to other sectors highly speculative. So this is one of the really toughest things. You'll always hear me say how much there is growth, but as far as the market share for global publication profits, it's really just a big X factor because we don't know. We can't count those ISBNs. And I didn't discover this issue until I was listening to a podcast with Joanna Penn. And in it, she was actually kind of talking like, yeah, those reports aren't accurate because, well, ebooks usually don't have an ISBN. And without the ISBN, there's no way to track those things. And I was like, oh my gosh. So all these reports that I've read before, maybe audiobook sales aren't doing as well as, say, ebook sales or vice versa. We might see a drop in ebook sales, but is it tracking those without the ISBNs? Because there's a lot of authors out there who won't put an ISBN on their book, especially if they're just exclusively distributing to Kindle Direct Publishing. They don't need to have it. I mean, if you're just doing one platform, what's the purpose of having the ISBN? So somebody else can track you and you can waste the money on an ISBN? No, thank you. I'll pass on that. Thank you very much. All right. Scooting a little bit further forward, this one actually comes from a longtime supporter here of this podcast and of self-publishing with Dale in general. His name is Giovanni, and Giovanni Antonelli has been just a really cool guy. And actually, I featured him recently in a Fiverr case study. He actually has his own Fiverr gig where he's done book cover design. He'll do some layout and formatting. He does A+ content. He also will work on your audiobook creation exchange standards and specs. I know I was just punching down on Audible, and here I am saying he's doing a service for this. But either way, Giovanni actually has that available over at dalelinks.com/Giovanni. But all that to say this, I'm not promoting Giovanni, more so talking about something he'd shared to me via direct message on Discord. And it is that Ingram Content Group is now offering an advertising service. Reach millions of verified readers. Ingram's advertising platform is an easy-to-use tool giving publishers access to targeted readers looking for their next book. And they go on to further explain how it works. Access verified readers. Advertise to targeted audience of readers actively looking for books in over 40 specific categories. Keep it simple. Market your titles across social and retail websites from one integrated platform and own the process. Set your own budget and calendar with no contract, no invoicing, and no set spends. Now, Giovanni did a little bit more digging into this, and I haven't had the opportunity to do so myself just yet. And I'm going to hopefully reach out to the folks over at Ingram Spark and get some type of explanation as to how this advertising platform is going to work and how they speculate how it's going to expand in the coming years. But all that to say this, that they make available things like Facebook ads, Google ads, Amazon ads. Now, there might be some other things that are available, but I didn't really get a chance to explore more. But if I'm able to go through one dashboard and not have to pay a high premium to access this through Ingram's interface, I think this is a big win. I think this is a huge step in the right direction, because then you can go into one dashboard and really start to play with many factors between those three advertising platforms of Google, Facebook, and Amazon. So I'm really kind of giddy about this one. Again, I'm not endorsing this just yet because I haven't had the opportunity to look into this. But all that to say this, ingramcontentgroup.com/publishers/advertising-platform. I'm going to put a link inside the show notes as per usual. And then last but not least, I'm going to give a quick plug here for the Self-Publishing Hub. It is my new video on demand service where I've got over 100 videos, hours of footage, everything for beginners to advanced folks to no content book publishing and keywords. And then most recently, I put out a course on the secrets of the perma-free book, and we're going to be having some more rolling out relatively soon. You can check that out at selfpublishinghub.com. Again, that's the selfpublishinghub.com. Make sure you put the ahead of it, because otherwise you'll go to another website, and that's not me. So that is $9.99 per month. That's $9.99 per month, and all you got to do is subscribe when you like and cancel whenever you want to. No fuss, no muss, and you get all the content that you could care for. That's all the pieces for this week in the self-publishing news. Was there a piece of news that you found very interesting or insightful? Definitely let me know. I would love to hear from each and every single one of you. Till later, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale, and I'll catch you next week in the next self-publishing news segment. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. Special shout out to my channel members for both the podcast channel and the main channel. Without your support, some projects we do at Self-Publishing with Dale would be much harder to fund. If you want to contribute to the cause, visit dalelinks.com/memberships for details and get your on-screen shout out at the end of each broadcast. Till later, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale, and I'll see you soon.